So I want to ask about that. We talked about some of the foods to use, of course, within the protocol, the supplement itself, but what are the things to absolutely avoid? Because that in itself is almost controversial at times between, well, you could have a little bit of alcohol, you could do this, yeah, coffee's okay, it's good, but no, it's acidic. Like,
I'm always looking for the out and like well, how far extreme I can go without like screwing everything up. So I was looking at like Okinawans, and a lot of the National Geographic is just like bullshit. They're saying they're all vegetarian. It's not true. They eat lots of lard, they eat lots of
yeah.
pork, but they also eat a lot of bitters. So that's a good thing to add into the
Ooh,
diet.
yes.
And the Okinawans, they celebrate. I was looking at their social calendar for the ones that live, 90, 100 years. Like they have a lot of festivals. So they're enjoying life and family
Hmm.
and in relationships. And on the festivals, they eat desserts and many other sweet things. And it's like almost once or twice a month. But on their other days, their non-festival days, non-celebratory days, they have their Okinawan diet.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of veggies, probably healthy heirloom type raised meats, I would imagine, like
Yeah.
pastured kind of pork and chicken, fish and things. So they, I think and they probably have a lot of fermented foods because they're in Japan. The traditional Okinawan diet is, special in that regard, and rice and their purple tubers, and
Hmm.
so every region has their own Okinawan diet. I think it's okay to celebrate, like not to feel guilty about it. Like I think we put our own like nervous system shame, to our
Yeah.
outlook for certain things. But if you just enjoy it, like, but then on the flip side, in Bama, in China, these elderly, became a tourist attraction there for the centenarians, and they started getting a lot of red envelopes. And the second started getting this extra income in the red envelopes, I don't know what they were buying, but I imagine sugar and candy and whatnots, right? Seed oil, fried things.
Yep.
They all died. Like their genetics weren't superior. It was
Yeah.
their lifestyles, their relationships, or whatever, their diet, at the time, and ancient diet and water. All of them lived near like mineral wells and things like that. But you add in the modern component too much. So for them, push them over the edge. They start getting high blood pressure, strokes. Actually, a lot of them have perished. A
Wow.
lot of them, like that civilization just got wiped out. And it wasn't even like, colonial days,
Right.
like, yeah, like, but in a way it is. They had their colonialism. They got protected in this bubble for as long as they could.
Yeah. It's like everything in moderation, really. I understand. And sometimes if you're already in a very acute state, of course, you have to change that while you're in an acute state. But, the idea is moderation, but doing it with gratitude without stress too. It's like there's a joke in a running meme you probably see on social media. It's like, how come when I'm like at the beach on vacation, I could kind of drink and have like enjoy sweets, and
Yeah,
next day I feel fine. And meanwhile, when I do it on like a work night and I have one drink, I'm like hungover the next day. I feel like crap, like sluggish. I think it's because of the attitude towards it, you know? There's
absolutely. And
there's
they gave
there's a
themselves
negative
permission.
association,
Yeah,
right?
they
When
give
you're
themselves
doing it through
permission. How
right.
much do we give our permission to our nervous system?
Right, right. And it knows that you're producing probably cortisol while you're trying to enjoy these things, which is going to be counter and create a kind of vicious next day feeling to it. Whereas if you just did it in peace without guilt and enjoy and just said, this is for me, it's so
Yeah,
much, you don't have that. So a lot of times it's the belief systems we have to something.
right, right,
If
right,
I have this, I will feel this way,
right.
right? And it's not even that you will, it's that you created that yourself through the thoughts and everything. So I always say, like, eat without guilt. Of course, try and be happy. You can't keep feeding yourself poison and say, this is so good, this is so good. And then, try and work through that. You'll do it. But there's something to be said about trying to eat intuitively or trying to just live life, let's say, consume things intuitively, but also without the guilt and with lots of gratitude.
Well, I think you're right. It's lots of gratitude and doing what we love. Like
Yeah.
one of the best moments of my life, my kids were born. I was like running like 4 or 5 miles a day, drinking a glass of wine. My HDLs were like 108. But I love what I was doing. Even, I had long days sometimes, you know, and that's kind of like a vacation for me. Like even my daddy's 85, he's still working 2 days a week as a surgeon, he's a doctor.
Mm,
It's like what we love. and I talk to a lot of executives and clients, there's something in their life they may not love. Maybe it just is a perception that has to shift.
Yes.
And it's draining their gut. And I know it.
Yeah.
Like I try to talk with them, either you have to have a jobectomy or personectomy and your friendectomy, right? Or frenemyectomy, you
Those
know.
non-surgical ectomies.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just a mindset to shift it. Like, okay,
or
sometimes my
or
cancer
belief,
clients that are
right?
best don't
Sometimes
do
it's a
that. They hit the rock
subconscious
bottom.
belief. You don't even know you
Exactly.
have that belief system running, but it's been since you were a kid. You were once told
Yeah.
you can't eat that, and you got very
Right.
traumatic over it, and you
Yeah.
forgot about it, but it's stuck with you, right?
Right. 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 Or you're a middle child and you got something taken away, it was given to the older one, and then now
Yes.
you have this like, oh, everything's gonna get taken away. And you didn't realize it was so young when you had it, and then that feeling perpetrated, yeah. And that's why
Yeah.
it's lovely, like people hit rock bottom, sometimes that's how it is before you work with someone that, will really make a difference. But hitting that rock bottom, wherever it might be, or for me, like a semi-Vipassana retreat, there's some rock bottoms and edges you hit. Then it's like, okay, when you come out of it, it's like, oh my God, I'm grateful. I'm grateful
Yeah.
to have running water and I can, make a cup of coffee or a cup of,
Absolutely. It
something,
shifts
cardamom
perspective,
tea.
right?
Yeah, it's just a perspective shift.
Yeah, yeah. And that alone is such a healing feeling in itself. It's a relieving feeling first off. It's like pressure off of you, but it's also just a release of all these healing types of reactions that'll come out of this realization almost, this shift.
Yeah, there's a gift in rock bottom, whatever
There,
it might
there,
be.
there, there is. There really is. And there's also a curse in always trying to avoid rock bottom, right? That you're
Yes.
just been
Oh
down
my
by the
God. Yeah.
bottom, but you're
Yeah.
like, I'll never get you fight so hard just not to hit it, but you never fight to get out of it
Right.
either. So you're
Right.
right
Right.
near
Right.
it. I
Yeah.
find that the biggest curse to so many people. They refuse to hit rock bottom. They'll do anything to avoid that, but they won't get out of their depressed or really bad state. So they just kind of comfortably but uncomfortably sit
Yeah.
at like near bottom.
Oh, exactly. I've done that even with my guy. I know I'm like, I've trashed it too much. I'm like taking my 20 supplements a day and my
Yeah.
40, peptide injections a day. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's exhausting.
It is. It is. And sometimes you're just like, let's just go back to the ways it was, right? And just be natural, outdoors, feet in the ground, smiling, just doing your thing and enjoying life a little bit more. But it's difficult in this day and age. And that's the beauty of having people like yourself